Hello everybody, this is Joe the Orange, and today I'm going to be talking about the Carthage spears. Not the fucking Greek ones, but the Carthage ones. Especially on Hasdrubal. In fact, I've never played Hannibal spears, I don't know why the fuck you would. Hasdrubal just seems to be the clear better option when you are playing this unit. And just a heads up before we get into this game, I fuck up 24/7. But luckily I'm playing spears, so it doesn't really matter. Talking about fuck-ups, here's the first one. So I go in to help our allied cavalry, but I'll leave the ranged units undefended, like a scrub, like a big old scrubbity-dub. I was just thinking, fuck, this cav is screwed up, I need to get in there to help him. And then I see this shit, I'm like, oh, okay, that was a bad idea. I'm running back now. I'm running back as fast as I can. I'm not going to make it in time. Luckily, the archer player did know how to defend himself. He has ran away, gone around that wall, so the cav cannot charge him, buying himself a bit of time. You'll be surprised how many times the archers just stand there and eat shit as 3 cav units charge them. Luckily, this guy has started running away, and now my spears are in a position to help him out. So luckily, this time it worked out. But that's not the only fuck up. I do that all the time in this game. Especially when it comes to protecting those archers. Usually I do pretty good when it comes to protecting them, but this game I was like, I don't fucking know what I'm doing. Luckily for me, this game does involve a lot of fighting barbarians and cav, which is just easy pickings for any spear unit. The only barb melee units that are really a pain in the ass for spears is the ones that have javelins, and if they're playing Versi, that can be annoying as shit, especially if you do not have ranged players to help you out. When it comes to the Felksmen, I find that you win 95% of the time. You just smash them. The only time it does become a bit of a struggle is if you're not watching your fatigue or you let them surround you. Now I have my 3 spear units here. I charged the full health one into that Barb Felksman player. I have another one in phalanx near the archers at this stage. But now I've separated both my spear units and I left the archers right in the middle. They're getting charged. Could have played that one a bit smoother. I do end up turning around and using my phalanx. Yeah, just a bit late. Just a bit fucking late. And this happens all throughout this game, I'll tell you right now. I just keep fucking missing shit. Luckily the cav is suicidal and they just keep running into me, trying to get to our archers. I've got to admit, I was thinking, there can't be any more cav, that must be all the cav. Nah, it just keeps happening. Here we go, there's another one. What I really should have done is try to circle around our archers to protect them. But I wanted to kill shit, and that's what I did. So yeah, if you want to be a team player, this is probably not the way to go, but, you know, whatever. At least I was semi there to protect the archers, and I have killed a lot of cav thanks to their suicidal tendencies. And I've got to admit, I kept thinking, I remember playing this game and just going, man, how much fucking cav is there? Which is a good reason to be near the archers to defend them at least a little bit when you do play spears, because cav just goes nuts. They go fucking apeshit trying to kill those ranged units. Which I do too, but when it's so damn risky, you're probably going to get smashed. I try to use 1 cav unit instead of all 3. It's very easy to get your points worth if you sneak 1 cav unit in and charge to the range. If you charge all your cav in there and they get surrounded, you're fucked. Now that we have a bit of a break in the game, let's talk about the tier 6 Carthage spears. In particular, they're just my favourite ones, they're the best. They have raised shields, which is just awesome. Hasdrubal has no range protection abilities, so having that raised shields is so damn useful. They have decent speed, they can put some pressure on the enemy units. The heavy spears on the other hand, it's just fucking useless, you're so slow. People can kite you forever. Not only that, on the heavier ones you do not have raised shields, unless I think the tier 10 ones might have it from memory. Probably not. So basically, these are they got the speed, they got the raised shields, they got decent armor compared to, like, if you compare them to the tier 7 ones that just get ripped apart from everything. These guys have very good defensive capabilities, especially with raised shields. Now you may be wondering, what is the difference between the Greek spears and the Carthage spears? Well, you're probably not, but I'm going to tell you anyway. When it comes to the phalanx, the Carthage one doesn't have as much defense. I think it's like 15% less. But that doesn't really matter if they are fighting you from the front. The trade-off is you get more movement speed and turn speed. And the turn speed's the big thing, that comes in handy so damn much. The biggest problem when it comes to the Carthage spears is that at every tier, they change their weight, pretty much. They're heavy infantry, and then they're medium, and then they're light, then back to heavy. They got weight issues. Sometimes they're fat cunts, and sometimes they're skinny cunts. The problem is you want to be a medium cunt, but most of the time you're not. While the Greeks, on the other hand, are always medium. The other thing is that Hasdrubal's pretty good with the spears. The bribe ability does allow you to get out reasonably unharmed when you do screw up your phalanx. For example, if you push too far in, you can put that bribe down and phalanx backwards without taking too much damage. Also, his Make It Rain ability does make it so your units are less likely to rout. But then you have his third ability, which is that really shit charge, and that's where Millie just comes ahead by a fucking mile. He has a way better charge, and he also has pretty awesome other abilities. Well, Hasdrubal has 2 decent abilities and 1 you don't give a shit about. It's just useless. I'd prefer just the default charge that some units have over his one. And while you do get 2 charges on some units, because of how Hasdrubal works, does it really fucking matter? Does it? I'd just rather 1 good charge. I've played the tier 7 spears and rarely does having 2 charges become useful. Mainly because they seem to stop after the charge and then you charge again. It doesn't actually increase your speed that much in my opinion, because they come to a halt at the end of each one. Or it might be because the charge distance is so damn small you hardly fucking notice it. So with all that said, I think the tier 6 spears are the greatest. Pretty on par with the Greek ones at that tier. And then it just goes downhill from there. You'd never get anything even slightly close to this unit. And the tier 9 and 10 Carthage spears are both heavy units. They're very slow, they never go back to medium. So you're leveling them up to play a unit that's going to be slow as shit. So if you don't like slow units, you're not going to enjoy it. And that's the problem I have with the whole of the Carthage faction. They switch in and out of what they want to do, but at the end of the day, they're all heavy infantry. So if you don't like that playstyle, you're going to hate this fucking faction. The biggest problem I have with the heavy units, there's not much flexibility. Once you decide on something, you have to kind of carry it through. You can't be that strategic, you're too slow. Once you start advancing, if you try to head back towards base, you're not going to make it in time. And even if there's a fight only a slight distance away from you, it still will take you a while to get there. It does make sense, you have great stats, you're just a front line, like if you do end up getting into combat with something, you'll probably smash it, etc. You can soak up a bit of missile fire because of your armor. But you're just so slow, you got no flexibility. You have to commit to something, and I don't enjoy doing that. Unless I'm drunk, and then I play heavy units all the time, I don't give a fuck, I just charge in a straight line and try to kill shit. And that was the weirdest thing, like last week I was watching something on Total War Arena, and someone said, oh well, if you're going to nerf Boudicca's charge, then you have to nerf Germanicus' charge. I just thought, man, they're totally different. Fury is a long bloody charge to begin with, and they're light infantry, so they're quick, and apparently the tier 10 Felksmen were wrecking Cav in the charge. That's a bit different when you compare Roman infantry, especially heavy infantry. That's not to say I think the barbarian infantry is overpowered or anything. Personally, I think they should have better modifiers in the forest. But at the same time, I don't think barbarian infantry should beat Cav in a charge. Well, it does make sense for the Romans to be able to do it, because, for one thing, the chances of Roman infantry sneaking up on you is about 0. So you can easily avoid their charges. And if you're a Cav player, and you wonder why he keeps getting smashed by Germanicus, well, stop trying to fucking charge him. I mean, that's just never been a problem for me. I go, oh, that's heavy infantry. I can just easily run around him, or go somewhere else on the map. I don't have to fucking fight that dude. And I've said this in every Germanicus video I've made, I fucking hate the commander, I think he's shit. The only thing he does is stomp noobs or defend range units. You can avoid him for most of the battle. He's never going to surprise you unless you're passed out at the keyboard. Even when you run into terrain and you have zero vision, you're still going to spot him before he can hit you. He's so damn slow. And that's the thing, when you see anyone mention Germanicus, they just fought him when he had his vengeance up. It's like, here's an option, you could just not fight him while he has his vengeance up. Or they're shooting at this Testudo from the front. Or they're getting charged by him when they use their cav. Somehow. Pretty much, I think Germanicus is there to stomp noobs. He's kind of useless. In some scenarios, he can do very well, but those occasions are rare when you're facing good players. In fact, the only time I do see him do well is when he's got javelins or archers backing him up. The other times he does well is when people just suicide on top of them. And I've completely forgot why I brought Germanicus up. Oh wait, I remember now. Because the Carthage units do turn into heavy units themselves, and heavy units to me seem a bit weak at the moment. There's nothing that great about them. If you don't enjoy that playstyle, you're not going to enjoy the Carthage endgame when it comes to the infantry. Also, just because the units you like get nerfed doesn't mean you should be like, oh, nerf this other stuff, nerf them as well. It's like, fuck me man, that unit sucks already. Why would you... You should be calling out every other fucking commander before you call that one out. And that's my honest opinion. I'm trying to think of a commander. I play all of them, by the way. I've got them all around tier 8 now. And the commander I had the worst time on was Germanicus. Overall. There is some other things that I think are even worse than that. But that's not so much the commander, it's the units. For example, Hasdrubal Cav. I just think, why the fuck am I playing this Cav? I could play any other Cav in the game. Luckily the spears are pretty decent, at least at some tiers. So he's not as bad as Germanicus overall. And then Hannibal, when he has his heavy infantry, I think that is a pile of shit as well. Basically for the same reasons that I think Germanicus is a pile of shit. So that's a tie. Then you have the tier 8 Greek archers, which is just... And it's the same with a bunch of units. Low tier pikes suck. Tier 8 archers on the Greek side are pretty bad. But like overall, Germanicus stays pretty shit throughout. You can rely on him to not be good. The moral of the story is, just because your units got nerfed doesn't mean you should take it out on other units, especially ones that are pretty crap. It would make a lot more sense if you at least chose units that are similar. You can't compare a heavy Roman infantry charge to light infantry. The same way you can't compare the amount of armor that Roman Cav gets compared to Barbarian Cav. They're totally different units. There's no way Barbarian Cav would be balanced if they're running around with Roman armor. They'll just be fucking overpowered by a mile. Anyway guys, that's enough of a rant. Please subscribe and thumbs up and all that shit, and I'll see you next time. Peace!
A mystery, standing on my feet, so hard.